From 1939 to 1941, the British planned to invade Ireland. Plan W. If Germany was preparing plans for an invasion of Ireland, Britain had to have its own, officials felt. Perhaps surprisingly, the Irish government agreed. As critics of Switzerland have long suspected, some neutral nations are more neutral than others. Many in Britain believe that the Irish Free State was giving Germany its discreet support. Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain had held out the possibility of a united Ireland in return for Irish enlistment in the Allied cause, but this had been turned down by a suspicious Dale. Anti-English feeling undoubtedly ran high in some sections of the population. Eamon de Valera was notoriously to sign the condolence book at Germany's Dublin embassy when Hitler died in 1945, and there's no doubt that many die-hard Republicans took the view that my enemy's enemy is my friend. Churchill felt almost personally affronted by the Dales' decision to uphold Irish neutrality at the outbreak of the conflict, viewing with disdain a posture of non-alignment that implied some sort of equivalence between the Allied and Axis side. Ports and preemption. From a more pragmatic point of view, there was the issue of the treaty ports. The Anglo-Irish Treaty that had established the Free State in 1922 had allowed for Britain to continue having rights over deep-water anchorages on the Atlantic coast. These were at Queenstown, now Cobh, in County Cork, not far away at Bearhaven in Baintree Bay, and further north in Loughswilly in Donengle. At a time when it was already clear that supplies brought in from the United States and the wider world were going to be vitally important, would Britain have to invade the Free State to ensure access to these ports? And then, through the summer of 1940, increasing amounts of intelligence chatter were intercepted, suggesting that the Germans were themselves considering an attack on Ireland, in Operation Green. Should some preemptive strike be launched? Indeed, should the British make sure that Germany couldn't take Ireland by occupying the country by themselves? Common ground. Britain chose instead to open talks with Irish statesmen and intelligence officials. For political and tactical reasons, these were held in secret. They were also held with different parties. While de Valera's Fianna Fáil was strictly anti-English, at least in rhetoric, the opposition Fine Gael party was more amenable. Britain began by establishing contact with Richard Mulcahy, the Fine Gael leader, to explore the possibility of a joint Anglo-Irish command for the island of Ireland as a whole. The hope was that, with Mulcahy on board, de Valera would feel he had no alternative but to agree. Password: Pumpkins. And so, with more or less reluctance, he did. His Secretary of External Affairs, Joseph Walsh, went to London with Colonel Liam Archer of the Free State Military Intelligence Agency, G2. On the 24th of May, they met senior officers from British intelligence and the armed forces. At follow-up meetings in Belfast and Dublin, Brigadier Dudley Clark, most famous today as the founder of Britain's Commandos, talked through tactics with General Officer Commanding Sir Hubert Huddleston, his senior staff, and their equivalents from the Free State Army. Army Chief of Staff General Daniel McKenna made it clear that de Valera drew the line at allowing British forces into the Free State in advance of any German invasion, but the Irish were ready to make available any information that would help him to make his plans. Further talks were held with Frank Aitken, who, as Minister for the Coordination of Defence Measures, had overall charge of the preparations made by the Free State. The codename Plan W was agreed on for the British invasion, which was to take place if, and only if, the Irish called for help following an attack by Germany. In that event, Britain's representative in Dublin, John Maffei, was to contact Sir Hubert Huddleston in Belfast with the one-word message: pumpkins. That would be the signal for Huddleston to head southward with his troops. In the event, Operation Green withered away and the signal was never sent.